Foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel, Shah Bashem Rakag Radash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone that have taught me this truth, and to include the elder bishops on down, and Yahweh Bashmiel Shah Barakatham, to the overall elect, whom this gospel is for. And it's your brother Laban. And what I want to do is I want to speak on what this guy, has declared about Israel, how, God is going to do great things for the land, right? And he's absolutely correct. Yes, he will. But how is it going to be done is what we're going to get into. Because we know that those people that are in the land, first and foremost, are not the people, and that they lied in trying to being the people. And as they've lied, they've caused so much controversy on the earth and shed so much blood, and as of currently with the Palestinians over there. So him saying what he's going to be saying in this video is either he's brown-nosing the Amalekites, or he truly believes in what he's saying. And if that's so, then that means he is strongly deluded in his own lies. Because these devils, they've been lying for years, man. And if you keep lying for so long, eventually you'll begin to believe in your own lies. And what I want to do is I want to speak on something different, and then I'm going to get to this topic. I want to come around back to this, and then we're going to play this video. And the Spirit is going to do more of the speaking, Lord willing, and that this video is going to be edifying as well. So yeah, what I want to do is I want to begin by reading the book of Psalms 86 and verse 10, as this reads: "For thou art great and doest wondrous things, and thou art the Most High alone." And I mean, when we think about the wondrous things that the Lord has done, yes, we can think about how the Lord delivered us from ancient Egypt, from those people which are in Sudan today, which they're the people of Martyrzayim, which had us in hardcore bondage. So much so it was rigorous. And again, yeah, that was a wonderful scenario which was at the time. And then we can even look at what the Lord did to Sodom and Gomorrah. That was a great wonder. So wonders doesn't just mean of something that was had which was good, but it can also be bad as well. And there's so many more, but those are the only two that have come to mind of what the Lord has done, the wondrous things that he has done on this earth. And in the future, there's going to be another wonder which is going to supersede all of the wonders that he has done, and that is going to be the deliverance of the nation of Israel. All right, the true nation of Israel, which makes up the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the elect on this side of the spectrum. So what I want to do is I want to read Matthew 24, and this is me getting into a different topic, but I'm going to come all the way back around. So anyway, Yahweh Shai, these are his words. This is what he said. He said, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet." This is Matthew 24, verse 15. I forgot to call that. As it reads, "Stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand." So the people that understood, they fled out of the land of Israel. And the ones of us that didn't understand stuck around. And when you read the book of Josephus, it elaborates on what actually happened to those people. So all of those people of which were our ancestors at the time that was in that land died off, in heinous fashions, man. And then you had the ones of us that fled, which understood the letter of Daniel. Daniel's which he's referring to Daniel's 9th chapter. And so when the Romans came against Israel, because it really was, of course, to do with, if I'm correct, the overtaxing situation, which the Romans did tax the Israelites to a point where it just got, irritating, and they couldn't deal with it no more. You know what I'm saying? Or let me use another word. It just got overbearing. So that's why this war as you had this, what you would call the 7-year war. And that was basically the 7-year tribulation, which the Christians get wrong. They say that the 7-year tribulation is going to come in this time, but it already came already. The 7-year tribulation was referring to the what happened on the first Jewish-Roman wars. That's what that was talking about. So eventually the ones of us that fled, and then you had the ones of us that was in there that died off in the land to the point where it was no more of us. And that's why by the time all of that was all said and done, no one wasn't even in the land. Okay, so these people over here came into the land as prophesied in the book of Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, which I'm going to get later on as well. So what I want to do is I want to also read a little bit more as to what I was talking about, right? Because it was prophesied that our people was going to be smitten in the land, as John the Revelator had a vision of. Now, John the Revelator, he came, of course, after. The vision that he had came after what happened to Jerusalem. Revelations 12 and verse 1 now, as this reads, there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon, which represents wisdom and understanding, under her feet and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, which the 12 stars represents the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Now, when you go into the Old Testament, the Israelites are also likened as the stars of heaven. And as this reads, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pained to being delivered. And much more now than ever was since the times past. We're being, pained to being delivered. And we're going to be more pained to being delivered in the time of Jacob's trouble. It's just as well as a woman does when she gives birth. Those contractions become more immense the closer she gets to delivering that baby. So that's how it's going to be when we're about to be delivered. Jacob's trouble is going to be so immense, as it is also written in the book of Acts 14 and verse 22, right? Through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of heaven. And as it is also written in the book of 1 Peter 4 and verse 17, what does that say? That says that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. So all hell is going to break loose. And in between all of that, the elect are going to be having to go through all of that just so that they can receive their salvation. All right. Verse 3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head, which is referring to this Roman system. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now, there's 2 parts to this, because during the time of Rome, the beginning stages of Rome, when you had Herod the king sent his men to devour the male babies of the Israelites, because they saw the star in the east, as is mentioned in the book of Matthew's, the 2nd chapter, right? They saw the chariot in the east. And they took that to mean that another deliverer was going to come to Israel. Okay? The leaders at the time, they were spiritually aware on the left-hand side, just like how it is right now. The leaders of this world, they very well know that the return of the Messiah will be. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out how they can prevent that from happening, which there's no prevention of that, because that's the greatest prophecy that would have to come to pass. And as well as when we talk about prophecy, we also have to include the saying, as the term goes, counsel. All right. And when we think about that term counsel, we got to think about them precepts, Proverbs, scriptures like that, Proverbs 19 and 21, where it mentions that the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. Also Psalms Psalms the 30th chapter, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but it says that the counsel of the Lord will go for all the generations forever. I'm roughly paraphrasing that scripture as well. All right, so scriptures like these tells you that the word of the Lord, prophecy is going to speak, and it's inevitable. You can't stop it. Okay, so these devils cannot stop something that's greatly inevitable to come, which is the return of the Messiah. But they're thinking that through their left-hand side magic, they can overturn that. There's no overturning that. Okay? What couldn't also be overturned is the fact that these devils would come into the power seat. So if that wasn't being overturned, that was preordained. Then what's preordained? They're going to lose their power the same way. All right? So anyway, going back to King Herod, he understood that what that star meant in the east, that a Messiah was going to come to deliver the children of Israel, as well as he knew the history, because he took on the customs of our people. He was considered what you would consider Jewish, but he wasn't a real one. He was really an Edomite, which his father goes back to Antipater, going back to the Greeks. So he was officially an Edomite, but he looked like an Israelite. All right. Yeah. So anyway, verse 4, Ken, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And that's referring to that 70 AD situation. What happened to the Israelites that were stuck in that land? As the Josephus would let you know elaborately. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So we know that Yahweh Shai, the spirit, jumped on Joseph, his father, and Mary to flee into a community where you had Israelites in the land of Egypt until the time passed, and then they went right back where they were originally from, the land of Israel. All right. Verse 5, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto the Most High and to his throne, which is referring to Yahweh Shai. As it was said in the book of Psalms that he would what? Sit on the right-hand side of his father. Verse 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of the Most High, that they should feed her there 1,203 score days, to that 3.5 year period, which actually goes into the 350 years that we would pretty much be dead for, from from the main transatlantic slave trade, which took place, to the point where you had people like Abba Bivens and those elders, which pretty much brought forth this truth that we now have today. So that's what this is talking about as well. Verse 7. So now we're going to read verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angel fought against the dragon. As a matter of fact, when I want to do Salakia, I want to jump all the way down. I want to jump all the way down to verse 14. And as this reads, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle. Again, this one was referring to Israel. From 13 to verse 14. Salakia, I should have read verse 13. And that she might fly into the wilderness, which the wilderness is, in this case, is referring to the landmass of our captivity, primarily being in that of America, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times and half a times, for the face of the serpent. So again, that's speaking about that same 350-year period, for a time and a time and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And who is the serpent? The serpent would be this old dragon, Slakia, the red dragon, which is the Roman system that we would be ruled under. And under this system, we would be taken care of. You got Jake that's on Section 8. Especially nowadays, Jake is doing very well than they did, 30, 40 years ago. Jake is kicking ass nowadays, man. You know? So Jake was taken care of. Jake was pretty much fed, because you got to take care. And even in hardcore slavery, I don't mean to jump the gun, but I want to go back even to the time he was in hardcore slavery. You had some Jakes that was doing relatively well, to the point where they could actually buy themselves out of slavery. Okay, if they had certain connections and they had the means to do it, they could have done it. From the time of like the 1800s to include, you had Jakes that was doing well. But even just now, fast forward to now, Jake has been taken care of. Whether you have the poor among Jake that's on some kind of form of government support, like for example, Section 8 and stuff like that. So again, Jake, yeah, we've been in slavery, but we've been nourished until the time permits, until the Messiah makes a second return. Verse 15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. Right, because when we escaped, these devils couldn't take all of us down, could they? But the ones that they could have had taken down are the ones that stayed in the land. All right, and that's why you have Israelites that are in West Africa today, because they were of those that escaped. And even you got in some areas within West Africa, they know that history, that they're the descendants of the Jews that actually fled from Roman persecution. Revelations 12 and 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, the anointed. All right, which ties into what is read in Revelations 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. And let's even include another precept, 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, where it speaks about that there would be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Most High. All right, so that's going to come in this time, while we're in the midst of the serpent, his kingdom. But I just wanted to kind of go into, not kind of, but I wanted to first go into why these people are in the land, because a lot of our people died out of that land, and the ones that was fled. That's why these niggas is in the land right now. Okay, and what I want to do is the first scripture now, which is to get into the topic at hand, is Ezekiel 36. As a matter of fact, let me read this first. Once again, for thou art great and doest wondrous things, and thou art the God alone. So we're going to get to the point as what the Lord is going to do to these people. What wonders are going to be wrought in these people in the land, as he's going to say in this video here. All right, and I'm going to play this video too. I haven't forgot, but I'll get there when I get there. Ezekiel 36. In verse 1. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord, Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, Aha, even the ancient high place are ours, in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, Thus saith the Lord power, because they have made you desolate, and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the evil. And ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are infamies of the people. So instead of us being known as the people of God, we were known as thugs and, everything that wasn't good, as well as we've experienced in this lifetime. All right. Primarily using mainstream media that these devils control 100% of. These Amalekites, to be precise, they were able to make us look like the enemies of the world, and so that they can profess at the same time that they're the people of the Most High, and that our wrongdoing can be the scapegoat for their wrongdoing, and that So much so that you don't see the wrongdoing that these people are causing. But now things are changing and people are beginning to see who the real enemy of the earth is. And it isn't us. It isn't the Negro that live in the projects that's just trying to get by and by. You know, the young little Negro that's like maybe 17 or maybe 25 years old, causing harm among his people. That's as far as the Negro can go. To see the young Negro that they like to highlight as the issue. All right, but here's the issue. The issue is the fact that you have a people that are ruling the earth that are changing people's lives for the worse over the things that they have done to people. Okay, globally. All right, whether that's by policies, whether that's by dropping drones. So once again, now people are beginning to see who the real enemy is of the planet Earth. And therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord power. Thus saith the Lord power to the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. And therefore, thus saith the Lord power, and they are the residue of the heathen, because these people make up less than 1% of the population. So, I mean, again, you can't tell me that the Bible isn't true, man. This is all prophecy. The prophecy of Ezekiel took place when the Balfour Declaration Act was written down. And so that years later, they can then solidify them being the state of Israel. And yet they make up less than 1% of the population. So they are the residue of the people that have taken over that land. All right. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, man, which have appointed my land. This is more straightforward right here. This precept goes right into it. So guess what? The Lord is going to bring fire upon that land. That's the great thing that God has for this city. And how is that going to be done? Well, let's go and read the book of Ezekiel 38, and let's get to the point. Let's get to the point, shall we? How that's going to be done. Ezekiel 38 and verse 16, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud that covered the land. And it shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before their eyes. So them Russians are going to invade that land and drop what they got to drop on that land. And that's what it's going to be. Okay? Now where it reads, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel, meaning that, of course, eventually we're going to be in the land of Israel. Okay? And you got to also remember, too, that the prophets, they didn't have a thorough understanding of what they were visualizing when the Lord was giving them the visions. Okay? So yes, we're going to be, he's right to say my people, but to be more precise and to make sense of this, he's referring to the people that's going to be in the land of Israel, as it goes far as to read. As I'm going to read again, as a cloud that covered the land, and it shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, because the heathen are going to be there. Who are the heathen? The Idumeans. When I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before their eyes. So again, to make sense of this, he's referring to the Edomites. So when them Russians do what they do, while they're invading, what are they going to drop? They're going to drop missiles on that bad boy. All right, that's how the Lord is going to do wondrous things or do great things for that holy city. Yes, he's going to cleanse that city by the fire of his jealousy, as I've read to you in Ezekiel 38. And then we, the real people, are going to be restored in that land. And then the prophecies like Isaiah 2 are going to be fulfilled properly. So that's all I got to say right here. You know, we were brought out of the land because of our sins, and of course, primarily to do with prophecy. But also prophecy states that the heathen, the residue of the people, would take over this land, calling themselves after us for a season in time. And then as prophecy states is that after the 5 is jealousy, the Most High's jealousy is exacted. Now we gonna come back in that land, and that land is gonna be once again the Holy Land. So that's all I have to say right there. So yes, God will do great things in this holy city. So with that, I'm going to close and I'm going to say Shalom, giving all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Now, I should have had played this video, but I don't have to do that because I said what he said in this video, man. So, yeah, that's all I have to say with that, man. Salakia for not playing this video. With that, I want to say, Shalom.